What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to my channel, Money Moves with Kay. I'm Kate, and today we're going to talk about 5 ways to find cash buyers for wholesale real estate deals. All right, so if that's something that you're interested in, please stay tuned for the video. Make sure you stay towards the end of the video. I have a bonus tip I'm gonna give to those folks who make it to the end of the video that will allow you to get even more insight on how to find those cash buyers. Now, go ahead and discuss a question that I get very often from folks who are interested in wholesaling real estate. And that question is, Kay, should I start with finding the properties first, or should I find the cash buyers first? Which one should I do? I always suggest to them is the same advice that I follow and same things and strategies I follow is I find the properties first. And the reason why I find the properties first is because that is the legwork. It's harder to find, track down the owners, get a deal under contract. It's harder to do that versus finding a cash buyer. Once you have a great, fantastic off-market deal that is at a good price, cash buyers come in the truckloads. Trust me, they will come and you will have an opportunity to build your cash buyers list that way. Okay, so really don't get caught up in where should you start first. Really just start, but I would suggest that you start with finding the properties first, because that will enable you to have a deal already on hand and you can market that deal, and I promise you they will come in truckloads because they know these deals are harder, even now more so than ever, to come by. So you will get cash buyers in the truckload. The first tip I'm gonna give to you is to look what has sold recently on Zillow and reach out to those owners. Now, you're not just reaching out to any old owner of that particular property. You are reaching out to owners who you've noticed by your research on Zillow, if you notice that the property sold for well under market value and a couple months later they plop it back on above market value and there's a huge difference in the price, and by looking at the pictures of that particular property, you notice that the property looks like it's renovated, those are typically, not all the time, but a lot of times, those are typically cash buyers. Now, what are you going to do when you find that information, right? You have the house, but how do you reach out to the actual owner, the cash buyer of that particular property? There are a couple of ways, but one way is that you can reach out to the realtor who is selling that property. Maybe ask them, hey, do you know who the cash buyer is? They do know. Can you give me any information, any insight on who is the owner of this particular property? If they don't give you that information, another way or avenue you can do is to research the cash buyer like you would any other homeowner. I have a couple of videos that I have. I'll link in the description of how to find homeowners of distressed properties or properties in general. So you're going to do those same steps that I mentioned in those videos to find the owner of the that particular property. I also want you to not sleep on land. Land is a fantastic way to find out who cash buyers are. I've wholesaled a lot of land, and a way to find out cash buyers with land is you find out the owner of that land. So for instance, if I have a plot of land under contract for, let's say, $20,000 and I need a cash buyer for that land, well, I will look at who bought the land surrounding that particular subject land of mine that I have under contract. I will find out who purchased the land right beside it, who purchased the land maybe 2 miles or a mile away from it, okay? And reach out to those folks to see if they're interested in purchasing my land, the land that I have under contract. So there are a ton of ways to also use land as a way to find cash buyers and discuss and network with them. So you're going to talk to them and say, hey, I have land, but are you also interested in purchasing homes or whatever the case may be? You will find out a lot of information just by talking to these folks, and they may not just purchase land, they may purchase other type of dwellings, maybe mobile homes or whatever the case may be, because think about it, they need that land for something. So keep that in mind when you're trying to find cash buyers as well. The next tip I'm gonna give to you is to hang out where cash buyers are, whether it be Home Depot, Lowe's, real estate conferences, network groups, Facebook Marketplace, Facebook groups, social media, the list goes on. So make sure you surround yourself with people, like-minded people, number one, but also people who are in the industry, people who are movers and shakers in the industry that you want to associate yourself with. Put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. That's the number one thing. A lot of times we don't go forth and do these things because we're like, well, what? I don't have any deals on my hands. Like, why would I go out to a networking group if I don't have any deals? That is not the case here. People want to see you activated. Are you activated on your dreams? How serious are you? The fact that you would even be at a real estate conference shows your seriousness. It shows that you are in it to win it. It shows that you are determined to find those deals and that you are the person that they want to contact in order to find the deals in the future. So please don't beat yourself up if you don't have any deals and you are going to these network groups and you're trying to position yourself in this manner. Just make sure you are activated. That's my biggest advice with tip number 2. If this content has resonated with you and provided you with any type of value, go ahead and like, comment, share, and consider subscribing to the channel. It helps me get this material out to a wider audience so that we can all be lifetime learners, all right? So without further ado, let's get back to the video. The third way to find cash buyers is to talk to general contractors, roofers, plumbers, anybody in the industry of real estate who are renovating properties. Talk to those folks because they know. So I mentioned earlier to hang around the Home Depot area, the Lowe's area, talk to people. So seek those people. If you see somebody getting a lot of materials to renovate a property, talk to them and say, hey, what do you do, right? Put yourself out there. You're gonna have to, okay? Also, most times in a home renovation where a cash buyer is trying to fix it up and resell it, they typically need a roof. So roofers are typically one of my go-to folks who I try to contact. Also, I've driven by, this has happened to me, this is a great example. I've driven by a property that I was scouting and seeing. I finally saw somebody at the property and I was like, let me stop. So I stopped and the people were fixing the property. What did I do? I talked to them. Hey, what are you guys doing? Are you renovating the property? The discussion goes on and I say, well, who is the buyer of, who owns this property? They may give me the information, they may not. I actually received a cash buyer by going through the actual contractor who was building or fixing up the property. So keep that in mind. You're going to have to talk. You're going to have to put yourself out there and be social, network, and you'll find out a lot more information that way versus just trying to do everything on the internet. That face-to-face is still a top source to get that information that you need. So keep that in mind as well. The fourth way to find cash buyers is through the GIS. I just say GIS or the public records, okay? So let's just say that you are driving for dollars. If you have no clue what I'm talking about, please check out my video. I'll link that video in the description where I discuss how to find distressed properties for free, all right? But let's just say you are driving for dollars and boom, you see a distressed property. You write the address down, you look it up on public records, the GIS, and you see that an LLC owns that particular property. Ding, ding, ding. That is a go. That's a green light. Why is that a green light? It's because typically cash buyers and people who are movers and shakers and buyers of these properties, they place the property in their LLC or their business entity. Now, once you find the LLC, you're going to take that LLC and place it into the Secretary of State, in which will give you an actual person, right? You need an actual first and last name of the person who owns that LLC. Once you get the name, you can identify their number, their office address, and whatever other pertinent information you need in order to call them up and say, hey, or email them. But you can call them up and say, hey, I see that you own this particular property. Are you a cash buyer? Would you like to be a part of my cash buyers list? That is a great way to find out who not only owns the LLC, but also owns the property and identify them as a cash buyer or not. And of course, in this whole process, I've been talking about networking. It's an opportunity for you to talk directly to these folks and say, hey, what are your interests? Can you give me your criteria? What are you looking for? I'm your go-to person for that information, right? So that's a great way to find who owns the LLC as well. The fifth way to find cash buyers is to tell everybody you know what you do. So that could mean I Buy Houses Cash t-shirts. You get your cards ready, business cards. You get your car decal or your truck decal. It says I Buy Houses Cash. Everything should be set up so that people around you can visually look at you and you're a walking billboard. You identify with your business, right? So they will know what you do. I've run into a ton of business just in Walmart, just in Target, just around and about, and they're very intrigued by my shirt. They read it and they say, oh, okay, you buy houses or you're a real estate investor? The conversation sparks from there. And you may run into some cash buyers just by wearing a t-shirt or just by having the card on hand and say, hey, contact me for some business, right? So keep that in mind when you're trying to find out, trying to find cash buyers, because it is very vital to be a walking billboard, to tell everybody verbally as well, hey, I'm a real estate investor. If you need any properties, come to me, all right? All right, so here's my bonus tip on how to find cash buyers. What you're gonna do is post a filler Facebook ad on Facebook Marketplace, okay? Facebook Marketplace is where I've sold all of my real estate wholesale properties. So your ad will sound something to the effect of, message me if you want any of my upcoming real estate wholesale deals or real estate deals. Give a little blurb on, who you are and what you're doing. You could even start off like looking for deals, ? And continue to go on with your ad. You do it how you want to do it, but this is a filler ad to see who is interested in your upcoming deals. You're not lying to anybody, especially if you don't have any properties under contract. If you do, then you can just say upcoming deals, or you can scratch that out. But the point here is to get people to come to you, message you, so that you can fill out or compile a cash buyers list very easily. I'm telling you, once these properties are there, they will come in the truckload. So that's a great method I've used before, especially when I was first starting and I was trying to do my cash buyers first, which of course in the beginning of the video I told you not to do, right? But I did start the reverse way in the beginning. After I learned that it was much more difficult to find the properties, I stopped doing that, right? Because they'll come with the deal. But if you are still concerned that you want to find or have some type of cash buyers on hand, I would suggest that you do this filler ad on Facebook Marketplace to get cash buyers to come to you, so you don't have to do so much work to go to them. That's the end of my video. Thank you so very much for making it to this point. Until next time, guys, you stay blessed. Peace.